What's up everyone, and welcome back to the MMA Buzz. Paul Felder and Michael Bisping have both strongly criticized Ilia Topuria following his recent comments directed at Team Khabib and UFC lightweight champion Islam Makhachev. While Topuria claimed he would submit Islam and took shots at the entire camp, the backlash from Felder and Bisping had less to do with the potential matchup and more to do with the timing and apparent contradiction behind his remarks. Both analysts pointed out that Topuria has repeatedly spoken publicly about dealing with serious family issues and has asked for understanding and space to focus on personal matters. However, at the same time, he has continued to provoke fighters and teams who are guaranteed to respond. Felder labeled the situation a bad move, explaining that a fighter cannot ask for peace and privacy while simultaneously starting public feuds. Once those doors are opened, responses are inevitable, regardless of what someone may be going through personally. Felder also echoed Team Khabib's perspective, emphasizing that bringing family struggles into the conversation changes the dynamic entirely. When someone publicly asks for compassion and quiet, it places others in an uncomfortable position where responding, even if provoked, can make them appear insensitive or disrespectful. This, according to Felder, creates an unfair situation for the opposing side. Adding to the discussion, Ali Abdelaziz weighed in by questioning why Topuria should continue receiving a pass. He stated that while everyone initially respected Topuria's need for space to resolve family problems, that understanding becomes difficult to justify when Topuria voluntarily re-enters the spotlight by calling out Khabib, Islam Makhachev, and Arman Tsarukyan without having an active fight booked. Abdelaziz noted that with an interim title fight currently taking place, Topuria's comment appear less about competition and more about staying relevant and keeping his name in the headlines. Felder and Bisping ultimately agreed that while self-promotion is part of the sport, it feels misplaced when coming from a fighter who is not currently stepping into the octagon and whose return timeline remains unclear. But before we jump into the next story, we have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon. It really helps us out and ensures you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. Josh Thompson recently broke down a high-stakes middleweight matchup as Reinier de Ridder prepared to face Caio Borralho at UFC 326 in Las Vegas on March 7. The fight carries major implications for a division that is rapidly taking shape at the top. With the championship picture beginning to solidify, this bout could determine who positions themselves next in line for title contention. Khamzat Chimaev is currently expected to defend his middleweight title in the spring against Nasruddin Imavov, but the future of the division remains uncertain. Contenders such as Sean Strickland and Anthony Fluffy Hernandez are closely positioned, and it is widely believed that the winner of their matchup could be next in line for a title shot. However, that scenario hinges on whether Chimaev remains at middleweight. Just weeks ago, he stated that he intends to defend his belt once before pursuing a second championship, potentially moving to light heavyweight, or even returning to welterweight, where he claims he can still make the 170-pound limit. Chimaev's plans also depend on the welterweight landscape. If Kamaru Usman were to reclaim the belt in 2026, could open the door for a massive champion versus champion fight. Their first encounter was a thrilling 3-round battle that left fans eager for a 5-round rematch. A potential double champion run by Chimaev would be a major promotional opportunity for the UFC, especially as the company moves forward with its new Paramount television deal. Turning to the matchup itself, Thompson praised the pairing of de Ridder and Borralho, noting that both fighters are coming off losses after being heavily touted prospects hovering near the top of the rankings. De Ridder was ranked near the top 5 before his recent loss to Brendan Adden, making this a crucial rebound opportunity. Thompson believes Borralho holds a clear advantage on the feet and is competent enough on the ground to avoid being overwhelmed. De Ridder's wrestling has not proven to be elite. Thompson highlighted his clinch work as a legitimate threat that Borralho will need to address. With the fight scheduled for March, both athletes have ample time to recover, prepare, and manage difficult weight cuts, especially considering their size for the division. Thompson also pointed out de Ridder's impressive activity level, noting that he fought 4 times in a single year, an achievement that speaks to his durability and growth. According to Thompson, there's no substitute for cage time when it comes to consistent improvement at the highest level. Move on to another news. Footage recently surfaced online showing Justin Gaethje grappling with teammate during a training session, specifically working on arm triangle choke defense. While the drill appeared routine at first, the situation quickly escalated when former welterweight champion Kamaru Usman, who was observing the session, decided to step in and test Gaethje himself. What happened next immediately caught the attention of the MMA community. Usman smoothly secured a choke and forced Gaethje to tap, doing so with apparent ease. The moment raised eyebrows, particularly given Gaethje's upcoming title fight against Paddy Pimblett, a fighter known for his aggressive grappling and submission threats. Although gym footage should never be taken as a direct reflection of fight night performance, the optics were far from ideal for someone preparing to face an elite ground specialist. The clip spread rapidly across social media, sparking debate among fans and analysts alike. Many questioned how Gaethje plans to handle sustained grappling pressure if he can be controlled and submitted so decisively in training. The discussion intensified when Pimblett weighed in on the situation. In a now-deleted tweet, he mocked the footage with a brief but pointed comment, writing, "That's your guy," a clear jab at Gaethje's perceived weaknesses. The timing of the footage only added fuel to the fire. Gaethje has spent months emphasizing that his grappling has significantly improved, and that fans would be surprised by how well-rounded his game has become. He has repeatedly claimed that his wrestling, submission awareness, and overall defensive grappling are at a level they have never been before. However, this video had the opposite effect, reinforcing doubts rather than easing concerns. With a high-stakes title fight looming against a dangerous grappler, the footage has become a talking point in the build-up to the matchup. Critics argue that if Gaethje is struggling to defend submissions against a welterweight in the gym, the challenge could be even greater against a lightweight specialist who thrives in chaotic scrambles and submission-heavy exchanges. While training room moments do not define championship outcomes, this clip has undeniably shifted the narrative. Instead of showcasing Gaethje's evolution on the ground, it has intensified scrutiny around whether his wrestling and submission defense are truly at the level required to neutralize Pimblett's grappling attack when it matters most. Move on to another news. Just weeks after UFC Qatar, Paddy Pimblett opened up about a brief run-in with Arman Tsarukyan and shared his thoughts on Ilia Topuria and the evolving lightweight title picture during an interview with Arlovski. Pimblett revealed that Topuria's return to competition is likely targeted for late spring or early summer, as the champion continues to prioritize personal matters. While Paddy expressed respect and well wishes for Ilia, he made it clear that his sole focus is eventually fighting El Matador inside the Octagon, calling it the matchup he wants more than any other. Pimblett also addressed the possibility that if Topuria is unable to return by June or July, the UFC could be forced to strip him of the title, a move that would significantly shake up the division. As for his immediate future, Paddy is extremely confident heading into his fight against Justin Gaethje at UFC 324. He believes he's developed a near-perfect game plan, feels he can dictate where the fight takes place, and does not expect the bout to go beyond the third round. On the rivalry front, Pimblett admitted his perspective on Topuria has evolved. When their feud first began, he barely knew who Ilia was and assumed he was simply chasing attention. Over time, however, Paddy has come to recognize Topuria as a legitimate and dangerous competitor. He emphasized that January's fight represents the next critical step in the lightweight division, which is rapidly becoming one of the most competitive divisions in the sport. While Pimblett showed growing respect toward the Georgian champion, his tone shifted dramatically when discussing Arman Tsarukyan. Paddy recalled seeing Tsarukyan briefly at the event, but dismissed him as irrelevant to his future plans. He accused Arman of talking too much without backing it up and claimed Tsarukyan has created his own problems through repeated controversies. Pimblett criticized Tsarukyan for pulling out of a title fight at the last moment, engaging in physical altercations outside the cage, and damaging his own reputation through reckless behavior. He argued that despite Tsarukyan's recent win over Dan Hooker, it did little to change the situation, adding that Hooker's grappling limitations made the matchup favorable. According to Pimblett, Tsarukyan has made his own bed and now has to deal with the consequences, while Paddy remained locked in on what he believes is the biggest fight available to him. a future showdown with Ilia Topuria. Move on to another news. The UFC appears to be actively trimming its roster as multiple fighters have recently been removed in what has become a noticeable trend. Just days after reports surfaced of several releases, another wave followed, this time involving a number of European-based fighters. The situation was first highlighted by Tom Feely and quickly gained traction across the MMA community. The most surprising name on the list was Rinat Fakhretdinov, whose removal left many fans confused. Fakhretdinov was undefeated in the UFC, holding a 6-0 record with 1 draw, making his exit particularly shocking. MMA Junkie reporter Nolan King later confirmed through sources that Fakhretdinov did indeed part ways with the promotion after his contract expired. At this time, it remains unclear why the UFC chose not to renew his deal. The decision sparked significant backlash online, with fans questioning how an undefeated fighter could be let go while others on extended losing streaks continue to receive prominent placement on fight cards. Critics argued that the UFC is prioritizing entertainment value over competitive merit, warning that this approach could harm the sport's long-term legitimacy. Others pointed to business considerations, suggesting that revenue generation now outweighs ranking, records, or performance, particularly for fighters who lack mainstream market appeal. Fakhretdinov later addressed the situation publicly, confirming that he was not fired but simply reached the end of his contract, which was not renewed for undisclosed reasons. He emphasized that nothing serious occurred behind the scenes and stated that multiple offers have already come in, some with improved pay. He added that his motivation has never been financial, but rather his passion for competition, and reassured fans that there is no concern about his future. Another fighter removed from the roster was Loik Radzhabov, a decision that came as less of a surprise. Radzhabov had not competed since his loss to Trey Ogden in July 2024 and finished his UFC run with a 2-2 record. The final release was Elizu Zaleski dos Santos, a longtime welterweight staple who went 11-6-1 in the promotion. His most recent appearance was a loss to Neil Magny in August. While his departure marks the end of a lengthy UFC tenure, it further reinforced the sense that the organization is undergoing a broader roster restructuring. As these releases continue to mount, questions remain about the UFC's long-term strategy and whether competitive performance alone is still enough to secure job security in the promotion. Move on to another news. A bizarre crossover storyline may be developing after a recent incident involving former UFC heavyweight champion Andrei Arlovski. Following the Jake Paul vs. Anthony Joshua boxing event, Arlovski was walking toward a parking garage with his family when he crossed paths with live stream influencer Jack Doherty. Doherty, who is known for moving through public spaces with a bodyguard while provoking confrontations, appeared to attempt the same tactic with Arlovski. This time, however, the situation did not go as planned. According to Arlovski, Doherty and his entourage bumped into him and his wife, leading to a brief but chaotic altercation. Video footage of the incident circulated online, showing a scuffle involving Doherty's friends and bodyguard. Arlovski later stated that a punch thrown during the encounter was cheap and unprovoked, prompting him to publicly express interest in settling the matter properly with Doherty's bodyguard. Doherty responded soon after, claiming his security guard is willing to fight Arlovski and suggesting the two should box or compete in a sanctioned bout. He framed the idea as a major payday opportunity, jokingly adding that he would be the real winner financially. The comments quickly drew backlash from the MMA community, with many fans mocking Doherty and questioning why he would not step in himself rather than hide behind security. Social media reactions were brutal, with users pointing out that the bodyguard appeared reluctant to engage during the original incident. Others called for Arlovski to fight Doherty directly, while some joked about Arlovski dismantling the entire situation with ease. The general consensus online was that the proposal felt more like a publicity stunt than a legitimate competitive matchup. Arlovski later addressed the situation during an appearance on the Ariel Helwani show, firmly denying that he provoked the incident. He explained that he was walking with his wife and son when Doherty bumped into them, triggering the chaos that followed. Arlovski also revealed that his wife lost her phone during the scuffle, forcing him to file a police report after leaving the venue. He emphasized that his wife attempted to de-escalate the situation and expressed pride in how she handled herself under pressure. Now 46 years old, Arlovski has not competed in the UFC since his loss to Martin Buday last year. While age may have slowed him compared to a decade ago, the former champion remains a dangerous and experienced fighter. Whether this situation results in an actual bout or fades away as internet drama remains to be seen. But the idea of Arlovski facing off against a bodyguard has certainly captured attention. If a fight does materialize, many are wondering just how one-sided it could be. Fans are already debating the outcome, with most expecting Arlovski's experience to make a decisive difference. Move on to another news. New developments have emerged surrounding Ilia Topuria's highly publicized divorce, as his former wife, Georgina, has revealed troubling news related to the situation. As many are already aware, the split between Topuria and Georgina quickly became contentious and unfolded in the public eye, bringing intense scrutiny and widespread online discussion. Georgina has now confirmed that she filed an official report with the National Police Headquarters in Madrid regarding online threats she claims to have received in connection with the divorce. According to her statement, the harassment escalated following the public attention surrounding the separation, prompting her to seek legal protection and document the alleged threats through proper authorities. In the aftermath of the divorce becoming public, much of the MMA community has voiced support for Topuria, which has reportedly resulted in Georgina facing a significant wave of online abuse. However, it is important to note that the full details of the situation have not been made public. At this stage, much of the narrative circulating online is based on speculation, second-hand accounts, and conflicting perspectives rather than verified facts, because neither side has released a complete account supported by legal finding or official documentation. Drawing conclusion at this point would be premature. Situations involving personal relationships, especially when they intersect with public figures, are often complex and emotionally charged. What is presented publicly rarely reflects the full reality behind closed doors. For now, the most responsible approach is to remain neutral and allow the legal process to unfold. As more verified information becomes available, the public will have a clearer understanding of the circumstances surrounding the divorce and the claims being made. Until then, restraint and patience are essential, particularly given the seriousness of allegations involving threat and personal safety. This situation serves as a reminder of how quickly online discourse can escalate and the real-world consequences that can follow. While public figures are accustomed to scrutiny, those connected to them can be pulled into the spotlight unexpectedly, often without the tools to shield themselves from backlash. As this story continues to develop, updates will be provided when credible and confirmed information is released. Until then, it remains important to approach the topic with caution, empathy, and a commitment to fairness for all parties involved.